When I was 5 years old, my mom and I packed up and moved to Mahomet, Illinois, about an hour away from everything and everyone we knew. My mom was pregnant with my sister and going through a divorce with my dad. As we adjusted to life as a family of 3 in a single-parent household, we struggled, like many single-parent homes do, but we made it work. There was no father figure in my day-to-day life, even though my uncle tried to step into that role. No one quite fills the daddy shoes quite like your dad does. I didn't have the best relationship with my dad growing up. I only saw him a few times a year. Could I have spent more time with him? Absolutely. He had visitation rights, but according to him, we moved to China, which in his mind was much too far to drive. When I would visit, I would spend most of my time with my stepmom and my siblings. Dad wasn't around much. See, Dad worked 3rd shift, so his days were filled with sleeping, whatever side job he had lined up, or shooting the shit with Umpy, the local hog farmer. Occasionally, I'd get to tag along. I would play with the dogs on the farm or help out on job sites, picking up shingles from a roof tear-off or fetching tools. Every kid's dream, right? Eventually, Dad started his own business, Davidson Home Improvement. A few years later, he also opened a lumberyard and a garden shop in a small local town. The yard and the shop didn't last long, which opened up more of his time. But did he use that to build a relationship with us? No. See, Dad knew everyone in town, so he was always busy helping someone with something. I remember my mom pleading with him to spend more time with me and his other kids. His response was always the same. My kids are going to be set and thank me when I'm gone. My mom's reply still echoes in my head. Your kids don't care about when you're gone. They care about now. They want to spend time with you now. See, I was never brave enough to tell my dad my true feelings and how I wished he would spend more time with me. By high school, I was working at the local IGA, juggling school and extracurriculars. Our visits became more rare unless I would make the trip to him. After graduation, I met a guy who I thought was everything. We moved in together after 3 months, got married 4 years later, and soon welcomed a beautiful baby girl. Around that time, Dad and I were starting to rebuild our relationship. We were finally spending time together. I think he may have even liked my husband. But 4 years later, just when things started falling into place, Dad got very sick and passed away. Just like that, the relationship I've been craving my whole life was gone. Shortly after losing my dad, I found out my husband was having an affair, just like my dad had done to my mom. We tried to work things out, but eventually our marriage ended in divorce. I never wanted to be a single mom. I had watched how hard my mom had at working and raising my sister and I wasn't sure if I could be that strong. But I knew I couldn't stay. So here I was, a single mom with an 8-year-old girl, emotionally wrecked. There were some hard times with my mom and my sister, but I leaned on them when I needed them most. I rebuilt my life for myself and my daughter, and just as we were settling into our new normal, I met someone wonderful, someone who completed our family. My ex was making an effort with his visitation, and I was so grateful. I had hoped that he would build the kind of relationship with our daughter that I never had with my dad. Of course, there were some bumps along the way. He would introduce her to every new girlfriend he had, and naturally, that would just piss me off. Then he got a job that required him to travel most of the year. I soon realized that her visits would be with his fiancée and not him. That didn't sit right with me. I told him that if he wasn't going to be home, she didn't have to go. Still, I worked around his schedule to make sure that she had time with her dad, because I know how important that relationship is. Then came the text. He told me he'd been thinking about my dad and all the things he had learned from him. The one thing that stuck with him, make sure your kids are set when you're gone. My heart sank. That was exactly what my dad used to say. My response, I learned a lot from my dad too. I learned he cared more about setting us up for the future, which he didn't really do, than actually being a part of our lives. That message hit something deep inside of me, and I had to do something. I had to make sure that my daughter never felt the way I felt. I had to break the cycle. Since then, I've tried to teach her how to speak up for herself, especially when it comes to her dad. She's a lot like me, kind-hearted, afraid to hurt others, and afraid to speak up. At one point, her dad invited her to a work event. His fiance was supposed to bring her for the weekend, but as the event drew near, we never heard a word. No pickup time, no details, nothing. The weekend came and went, and she never got to go. She came to me hurt and confused. Mom, how come I didn't get to go? I didn't have the answer, but I wasn't exactly surprised. See, my ex-husband reminds me more and more of my dad every day. Broken promises. We talked, and I told her that it was okay to speak up, that her feelings mattered, that she mattered. I told her I couldn't be the one to say something because to him, well, I'd just be the bitter ex-wife. But she could. It was her experience, and guess what? She did it. She found the confidence that we've worked so hard to build, and she asked him why he invited her and then ignored her. She told him how it made her feel. That day, she did something that I never had the courage to do, something that I ran out of time to do, something that I wish I had done. She stood up for herself. She spoke her truth, our truth. It's been 10 years since Dad's passed, and I still talk to him every day. I know he's watching us, and I hope he understands why I had to break this cycle. I missed out on so much growing up, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that my daughter doesn't have to miss out on having a real relationship with her father. We did it, Boo. We broke that cycle.